My name is Chris Barrant, and snowmobiling is my passion. This wide-open podcast is here to share stories, tips, and tactics to make you a more successful backcountry rider.
All right, what's up, everybody?
Yo.
Hi.
What's up?
Hi, good friend.
Yeah. Heydays.
Yeah.
Here we go.
So episode number 2 at Heydays, I am sitting down with the OG. And Dan, what is it like to have that name, dude? You are the OG of, Slednecks and just, backcountry snowmobiling. And, you and I we have forged this incredible relationship over the years, and from a distance, which, I'll be honest, that's one of the reasons Heydays is so special for me, is because, at least we get to see each other.
I agree. Yeah, absolutely. It's funny that we're sitting at Fox and it's their, 50th anniversary. I turned 49. Next year will be a big year for me. Speaking of OG and whether we're calling that the original gangster or just the old guy, I've been around. Yeah, and it's fine. I feel better than I ever have. I mean, every year that we do this, we were just having this conversation about stock sleds being so dang good. It's like making our lives pretty easy, right?
Yeah,
we go out and we just smile at, it's kind of effortless. We've been doing it a long time. So the sled's working for us. You continue to try to push hard. You see all these young up-and-comers that are, I start doing this age thing where I start going backwards, talking to Caleb, talking to some of these guys, and you're just like, I've been asked if I was Andy Thomas's dad a few times.
Well, the way you guys can grow a beard, I think it's very similar.
Yeah, so I come into every one of these Heydays looking forward to, again, seeing friends that I've known, and we've built these relationships over the years. It's been absolutely awesome. It's all good. It's part of it. So I come into these things, Saturday being the big day for all of us. We just get to see each other. It's kind of a rat race. It's just a hi goodbye for so much of it. But anytime I get to catch up with you, like I have been saying, we both have busy lives, whether it's family and just outside life of snowmobiling, and we try to balance those two things, and I think that's pretty dang important. So, but to come to Heydays, it is the official kickoff to winter.
Heck yeah.
It's super exciting. A lot of things that are coming up for both of us this winter, and so it's something that we'll look forward to, and Heydays being just the absolute sort of catalyst to the whole thing.
Well, I've got a bunch of things on my hit list I wanted to cover in this. We're gonna keep these short for Heydays just so I can get you going, and I got stuff to do. But so my big hit list is we got to talk about the beginning, okay? Yeah. And I got to talk about you love that I'm rocking these 97s and 98s, and you have so many cool memories of them. But that's what you started on in Slednecks 1.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Tell me, we have a ton of Slednecks fans. It's so cool, watching people, rocking their 20-year-old Slednecks shirt here and,
the
still
old logo with the skull and it. I love it.
That's what it was for all of us in the beginning. And you were, at ground zero with Jason Moriarty from Slednecks.
Yep.
And, tell it just, give me just a quick, what was it like in the very beginning? Because I'll be honest, I wanted to be a Sledneck so bad, and I was able to make it happen, but looking up to you at the beginning was about as cool as it gets.
Yeah, I think about 1997, 98, when that whole thing just sort of came about. It's evolved, and where it went, none of us would have ever expected any of that. And so for it just to be a bunch of kind of wild and out, crazy kids, and we wouldn't have known at the time. I came from a snowboarding background. I wouldn't have known at the time that there was that many other snowmobilers out there right on the brink of that whole pushing the limits, jumping sleds, trying to do tricks, trying to do all this stuff. And it was I think Slednecks, the way it came about from basically somebody that came from a snowboard background to get into, being a complete and total gearhead. I'm just this is just this open, it's just this avenue. Nobody's really touched on it. Yeah. And back in the Snow Motion and some of these other these videos that were out there that were just, bubble helmets and even people not wearing helmets, dudes just pow turns and everything else, and all of a sudden Slednecks hits and it's Metallica and a bunch of wrecks and a bunch of just fast, all this craziness. It was right up our alley at the time. What we didn't know was what it was going to turn into.
Yeah.
We had zero idea that the list of riders, the people that, that Slednecks helped put together and build, it really did revolutionize snowmobiling. And we just, so to get to be a part of it, it was fun, man. It's like the intro to a band that later became something just ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
And I got to meet you. I got to meet so many other lifelong friends out of this whole program, and to see everybody and their successes and what it ultimately turned all of us into. I mean, I would have never ever thought from those intro days of just doing heel clickers off cornices on sleds that didn't really have suspension, that it would turn into this. Yeah, this where it's like it's a career. I mean, here we are this many years later, you know.
Yeah.
I think about, you know, so much of these, and again, we'll bring it back to that hard work and, you know, what you've done with BBA, what I've done with Next Level. I mean, those were the decisions you and I made that many years ago to kind of keep us on the snow, keep us connected with, you know, the OEM, keep us connected with so many of these sponsors. And it's been a lot of work, but at the same time, dude, it's been an absolute riot. I mean, I could not have, if I look back, I wouldn't change anything about it. I've had some close calls, some injuries, some other things. I think we've all kind of, you know, I haven't had any too major ones, but at the same time, you know, it's been a lot of work to get to where we are, and it's been super fun. The whole process of building a business around something that maybe a whole lot of people as a business plan wouldn't have looked like that it would have worked.
Yeah.
And this idea that we've made it happen. We both have successful online stores, physical space. I mean, the shop, the things that I've just moved into a brand new house, like all of these things have all just been sort of this buildup of how much effort and time that we put into it. It's been awesome.
Well, as you're talking about all of that, you know, I can't help but think, you know, what has gotten the industry to where it is from a riding standpoint is what we did with Slednecks.
Yeah.
And, you know, how it wouldn't have happened without a camera out there, right?
Yeah.
Like, and we all know this. We ride different when you're just riding with your buddies, and or you're trying to push the limits and levels to make the cover or do a film or whatever. And so, what I wanted to do is, you know, over the years, we haven't got to ride nearly as much as we would love to, right?
Total
of course.
BS. I hate it.
It is. However, we have got to share some pretty cool moments together. So I wanted to share some moments of or reflections that I've had watching you, and I want you to reflect on a couple things with me.
Yeah,
so,
copy. Let's hear it.
So for me, one of the things that sticks out watching you ride is you're just like this calculated mad scientist that is sitting behind the scenes. And so I'll never forget, like, you know, a couple of these climb rides we've been on, and you know, you have all these young gibbers just like flying all over the place.
Good
like,
way to put it, dude. Gibbers.
You just, you know, drink 3 monsters in the morning, and it's like, calm down, everybody. And you're just like, dude, you're just sitting back there, and you're just like looking at your line, and then all of a sudden, like, and I love this part, like, when Dan's sled fires up, everyone just stops, and I'm like, just like, oh God, get my phone. And like, dude, you'll just come out and just like, just send it. And like, you're so calculated, you're so smooth, and like, you look at things that, like, I was looking at, I'm like, where's he going?
Yeah.
And dude, I just love that. I love your eye, and a lot of that comes from your snowboarding background. You can read terrain. You live in this magical place. I'm so envious of your snow and terrain and all of that stuff. But, you know, just these big giant whip hits that you hit. I love, like, you know, I'll never forget that first time you called me, you know, doing a re-entry you know, just like, you know, like, I got it. Like, when that sled comes out of the snow and you're looking, your spot, you're landing, like, you know, that's what's been so fun over the years is just, you know, watching you build yourself as a rider from like all aspects. You've hit ramps, you've jumped cornices, climbed hills, like you do it all. You're a very universal type rider, which is awesome.
Well, I appreciate that, Chris. It's awesome. And man, it's good that you went first, because I get to go through the Rolodex of opportunities and times when I have when it reminds me, even though we don't get to ride together that often. And in fact, it's funny, guys, and you guys will remember this from our socials from years ago, that it was like Chris and I had to go to South America to get to ride together. It's like, and we spent 3-4 days together, really no cameras besides our own, but there was no like, and action, and somebody like, you know, there and having to be in a specific spot. And we got to tree ride and some fun stuff, and saw some cool birds and some cool trees. And so Chile was a very special experience, I think, for both of us. It
well,
was
we
awesome.
got to ride as
we got
friends.
to snowmobile
not,
as
not
friends.
as workers.
Yeah.
You know, so.
So as I think back, and you guys, there's going to be so many, we don't have time to talk about all of the experiences that I've had where I've got to watch this guy, and again, remind me of the rider that he is and what he has become. But even just this last year, Chris, at Snowshoot for Polaris, Matt Entz and I and you, we just happened to get on, and that's my favorite when we get this like skeleton crew of just us with Todd Williams, or whether it's Stephen Clark on video or whatever it ends up looking like. But there's these logs that like you're looking at that I'm trying to understand what is going on in Chris Barant's brain of like why he thinks that he can start where he's going to start on the hill, no momentum, and there's like a 4-foot freaking gap with very little snow up onto a log, and it's like everybody else again is quiet. Like you fire up the sled and I'm shaking my head already in like not doubt, but at the same time of like, I know he's riding a bone stock, and at this point it was a 2025 snowmobile, and he's midway up on the hill. He kind of looks over his shoulder, makes some quick reverse hop over, brap, and then builds enough momentum to come up over a log, and my heart's kind of racing, and I'm like, well, he's either going to just stuff into the freaking log, and it's not going to work out, and how many times it does work out. It shows me, like, and again, you were in my riding zone, more or less where we were doing that, and what you do in your own with some of like this sugary snow and just do the things that it's endurocross in the dead of winter in a lot of places around BV. And so just understanding how much of like what you look at in terms of terrain and where you snag little bits of momentum and how much you ride neutral. I think for so many years, all I ever did was just dance around like a monkey. I was trying to be precise about it, right? Like really focusing. It's what we do is we teach these techniques of like where to be on the snowmobile.
Yeah.
A little bit different body type. You're quite a bit taller, lighter than me. You're usually on something completely ridiculous. But you know what I'm saying? And how much of this stuff you ride staying neutral and staying positioned. And when you watch, and I know all of you guys, every one of you are watching the GoPro footage and the things that you do when you're headed uphill, when you can somehow, like I can incorporate a lot of the riding styles, or I can put myself where you are. Not always in those positions, but I can put myself there, and when I can understand what it is that you're having to do in the position that you're in, and you do it consistently, dude, it's a measure of the skill and just like what your heart is doing, that when in most people there's just like, it's just flying out of their chest, and you're sitting there like, yeah, this is just a Tuesday. Yeah. I'm just headed uphill. And for most people, when they see this high RPM and this sled kind of whistling through in sometimes spaces that don't even look wide enough for the snowmobile, and you don't even see that stuff. It's just crazy to see the anticipation and just what it is that you're looking at. And I have truthfully been in positions where I've seen you do something that I know as a rider I cannot do. It's awesome, because I'm kind of trying to
That must have been
attempt.
like something crazy because like you're just, you're a surgeon out there. And,
well, we're all doing it, dude. And the things that you have helped, we just talked about it. The things that you've looked at, certain things that I've done, or riding positions or styles, and I just say, kudos to you the same, dude. We've learned from one another.
Yeah.
And I use this in my riding clinics all the time. Of like I said, once you get to where you can truthfully understand, like if you're watching a video, you're watching, you on screen, when you can understand what's happening, you can go out and kind of emulate that, right? And so I can oftentimes see what it is that you're doing, and instead of just watching the snowmobile, I'll get down to where I'm watching very specific parts of the body, of like what you're doing and why that works out for you and then doesn't work out for someone else. And over the years, it's just been so fun to just literally, as you said, like a surgeon, like you're just picking these things apart. You're dissecting all of this, because I think that the end goal for both of us is like, I want to do this for a long time, and I know you do too.
You took the words right out of my mouth, and that's what's so incredible is like, you and I have made a living at teaching people our craft.
Yeah.
And I think what's so enjoyable for me is, showing people how to ride like this.
Yeah.
And what it does for me too is like, when we go, we have our 3 drills that we do on day one, the whole thing, right?
Yep.
But like, and I tell these guys, and because they like, man, I don't know how you do this every day. It's like, what do you mean? This is helping me perfect the craft and, all of those things, because I want to never have to think of what to do in a pressure situation.
That's right.
And I want it to be automatic. And, this whole thing, and you said it, when we were riding M sleds, right? It was hanging a leg, full spread eagle, just trying to get that thing to turn, trying to get it to do things and counter steering and all that. And fast forward now, the machines we get to ride is, the more I can ride neutral, it means the more speed I can carry, the farther ahead I can look, and the more momentum I can carry, which is the key to riding steeper terrain.
Yeah.
So
it makes a ton of sense, and people are often wondering, how that stuff happens when you have that momentum. When you build momentum on anything that you're pedaling, you're giving it throttle, whatever it ends up being, even though a snowmobile is a bit heavier than, say, a mountain bike or a dirt bike, when you're moving, you can push against it. You can lean against it. It's when you're not giving the sled enough power that every move you make, you actually overpower the machine. When you're moving the machine and it has momentum, let's say riding neutral up something steep, you have the opportunity, because you have that momentum, you can lean against that snowmobile and make those decisions. When somebody is not giving enough speed, they're leaning back, they're pulling back, that snowmobile can become where it's very, very hard to handle. And every little move they make, whether it's their body position, their feet, something, it makes these drastic changes in the snowmobile. So it's pretty hard to get people to overcome what that is. It's one of our biggest challenges as we teach people to ride, is you can show people all of these things, but if they can't get past that fear of, I don't want to give it enough throttle, and then they have to understand that I have a throttle, but I also have a brake. I have a way to control speed. So it's, the throttle is always the way that we build and maintain momentum, and the brake is the way we control our speed.
Yeah.
And you're trying to get people, there's a lot of technique that's involved, right?
Oh, man.
So, and over the years, it's just been so fun, because not only have we spent the last 15, 16 years teaching people how to do this with both of our clinics and what we do, but we're learning how to be better riders at the same exact time. Being able
100%.
to perfect this craft. I will never, ever, ever say that I got it all. There's no way.
I mean, that's the reason that snowmobiling is so awesome, is because we will never master it.
Yeah.
We'll never.
Yeah. It's never going to be.
You'll never win.
No.
And that's my drive and motivation. And you said something at the very beginning of this that is so true. Where I am at in my life, from mental standpoint, health standpoint, riding ability, I feel like I am the best I've ever been.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm better than last year. I feel like I'm way better than 5 years ago.
Yeah.
I have to work at it a little bit more.
Sure.
Which is actually, to be honest, it's enjoyable.
Sure.
The process. But I want to give you guys two things. One, I stole a technique explanation from Dan. He said this one time. Dan is an incredible teacher and instructor.
I appreciate
and he said, yeah, you just need to keep your shoulders square to the hill. And I was like, oh shit, that's exactly how I need to explain that. So I've stole that one. But I'm going to give you one. You were just talking about it, is in this technical terrain, when we're trying to get these people, our students, to have that confidence to charge the line.
Yeah, let's hear it.
So here's what happens, so it's heels versus toes. Okay, so what happens is most people, when they get in steep terrain, they're on their heels.
Yeah.
And so what happens is, when you're on your heels, your arms go like this, and the sled is like this. Well, when you're riding that steep terrain, you'll notice everything that we do is I'm on the balls of my toes, and I'm knees bent, and versus on my heels with knees locked.
Yeah.
And what that does is that helps you absorb the sled, move the sled, and have control to move forward and keep that nose down, versus, it's like the rocking chair. Which side of the rocking chair do you want to be on?
Yeah.
And it's so fun to, when you're charging up that hill and you're looking up and you're on this boost and you're just wide open and you're in that attack position. It's amazing the confidence you can have, because you have control, versus the oh shit moment of being in the back seat and it's just like yard sale and stuff on top of you, which is enjoyable to watch but not very effective to get to the top.
Well, and how funny is it that over the years, especially when the intro to short tunnels, where it's Now everything is about, and I stole this one from you, right? Feet back, body forward. Like,
Yeah.
I think back, you guys have I'm hopeful that you've been a part of the Next Level YouTube channel as I throughout the years here, have tried to put as many helpful videos out there as I can. And one of the videos, and you guys will remember, is like a common mistakes video from years ago. It's nearly at 1 million views, and I have one of those techniques to certainly give back to you in terms of feet back, body forward, because I had heard those words from you one time, and it just went, oh yeah, so not unlike shoulder square to the hill, feet back, body forward. And I use that as a common tip within that a lot of people, as they approach hills, they just sort of relax their body, they're on their heels, and now they're leaning back, pulling back, and now they have no controls of their skis. So that feet back, body forward position back onto your toes, it makes so much sense. So continuing to try to push people and educate people that that's really what needs to happen. So much of GoPro footage that we end up seeing out there, it's a bummer that, and I get it, there's second angles, and you have great cameramen doing awesome jobs of like showcasing some of that where they get to see you actually riding and not just in a GoPro. They don't realize how feet back, body forward you are.
Yeah.
Like that you are so up front on that snowmobile, elbows, knees, all of those things. Like everything is about being in that aggressive position. None of that is just sandbagging, leaning back, and thinking that, this
I got a turbo, it'll go up.
this boost is just going to go up. Yeah. So it's been fantastic. With the short tunnels, though, it's how great is it where you're like, I think I'm slowing down. I can just lean back, pull back, and go the other
Re-entry.
way. I don't have to do a whole lot. So things have changed a lot in our snowmobiles, and maybe that's it is. It's without a doubt. That's a big role in how snowmobiling has changed for you and I, and then even teaching it.
Yeah.
As sleds change, the techniques have changed, and there's a lot to that as coaches that we're having to identify with. Now I get more people that are like, they don't even know how to side hill, but they want to do a hop over. They don't know how to do a hop over. They want to go right to a bow tie. They don't have bow ties or a hop over, but they want to learn a re-entry.
Yeah.
And so
let's side hill first, guys.
can we just start at the beginning, right? Crawl, walk, run. Let's just continue to do this right.
Well, Dan, I know you got a super busy day here, but I want to wrap this up with give me one memorable moment over the years, whether it be Slednecks, X Games, backcountry. Give me one memorable one that just sticks out in your mind.
Memorable moment for me. I got to go back to Chile. Like highlight of you guys, Chris and I, we've known each other for a long, long time. I think about the freestyle days and getting to see each other at random events and just things like that. But like the opportunity to truly like forget about cameras, forget about like a lot of the stuff that you and I do as a job and why we're where we are, but the opportunity to get to go snowmobiling with Chris Brandt in South America, like it's a highlight of anybody. I mean, went back again, and that'll stick in my mind as one of the most memorable, one of the coolest things that I've ever really got to do on a snowmobile. We've been to Russia together. We've been kind of all over the map, but getting to ride in Chile and the crew that we had with us, I know that was still your working. I'm kind of there just getting to go and do.
I was working.
Yeah. I can remember like just all those things. I remember getting stuck and I had a saw and I'm like hurrying because I don't need Chris to see me in Chile like chopping down it. Yeah, it was just all those things, man. Highlight for sure. And I mean the list would go on and on and on. A great one for me, guys. Pivotal moment in this guy's career was calling it at X Games. Basically, the X Games is actually giving me the goosebumps right now. Is the X Games that kind of changed everything in your life. I'm in the booth. I got Kirk Zach next to me. We're watching all these unbelievable freestyle athletes do what they're going to do, and I call it. It's like we'd known each other, but I call it that if Chris Brandt backflips this freaking hit to that big freaking down ramp that you could like see your reflection in, you don't even understand how gnarly this is for the timing of it all. Learned a backflip 2 weeks prior to it. I mean, watch the whole process of this thing. And just knowing that I've done a flip, I know the commitment. A flip now is just like, don't come to these events if you don't have one. But for that time frame, dude, for you to flip that step down, and I call it that this is X Games gold, and to watch you turn the corner, and I just see it in your position. Talk about feet back, body forward. He's in this white and black Slednecks suit, and he's just arms like this, and I'm calling it. I'm like on live TV. I'm like, he's flipping this, and just see you do it, dude. I mean, absolute insane commitment. Like literally you left everything out there. It was the most unreal thing I've ever seen. So well deserved. And what a like the catalyst to the career. Like it just boom, and BBA and everything else that's happened since then, man, it's just been phenomenal.
Well, it was one of those opportunities in life. I was at the stop sign, and I had the easy way or the hard way, and man, I love the hard way, dude.
Yeah, you took the hard way.
Yeah.
It's good.
Well, Dan, I appreciate it.
So freaking awesome.
I will agree. Our 3 days riding in Chile, and I think we stretched it. We even rode on your arrival day.
And that was our blue sky day.
And that was our blue sky day.
That was our blue
Dude,
sky day.
Like, and it didn't matter. I mean, I remember that one day it was seriously pouring rain.
We were riding in the rain.
Pouring
Straight
rain, and all we could do was just laugh and high five and giggle, and it was as good as it gets, because it was what we all do this for, was to ride.
Yeah.
Right.
End of the day, it's what it is, man.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Again, I hope you guys enjoy another podcast here from Heydays. Like Dan, again, legend, dude, in the sport, and so thankful to have you as a friend, bud.
Perfect, man. Appreciate you.
Thank you, guys.